There's an emerging attitude in red pill spaces that women don't know loyalty and can't truly be friends. It's insidious. You know, in the same way that men are capable of killing each other and also of deep, unbreakable loyalty, dipshits. The same is true for women. Sometimes it's brutal and cutthroat, and sometimes it's selfless and self-sacrificing. What I really don't like is that phrase, don't try to understand women. Women understand women and they fucking hate each other, or whatever that is. I understand there's like a level of truth to that. No, I would say that's not true at all. It's not that women dislike other women. It's that women understand other women. And some women don't like other women, but I think most women do like other women. But I think where that phrase comes from is that also women are good at reading other women better than men are. So it's not that they just dislike a girl for no reason. Some women do because it's jealousy, or that's true. Or it could just be. I know what she's like. Yeah. Anyway, but does that mean that like women can never be friends? And no, of course not. Like, it's really deeply irritating. I understand women very well. I've got sisters. I've got loads of female friends. I'm a girl's girl. I love hanging out with other women. Yeah. And I really like women. Not all women. Some women I don't like. Obviously, some men I don't like. But I like women in general, yeah. There are female friendships that I've had for years that I value so highly. And of course, human instincts are unavoidable, and sometimes there will be that undercurrent between women, of course. But promoting a hyper-competitiveness as something we should do to get chosen, I really dislike that. Female friendships can be such a wonderful, powerful thing with really strong loyalties, lifelong loyalties. And I just think this attitude degrades that and makes it seem like an underhand bitchiness or sabotage or always pushing yourself forward as better than them is acceptable, as long as it's towards the purpose of nailing down a good man. And that's a shame. Yeah, like some groups of women are like this, I agree, because some people are shitty, but others aren't. And you don't have to go into the world with this dog-eat-dog mentality. And here, look, here's the other thing as well. I think that most women can very clearly sense if another woman views us as a competitor. Women know that. We know if we meet another woman and we're like, oh, okay, we know what the game, we know it. If we meet another woman and she views us as a competitor. We even have a word for it. That's called a frenemy, and it's an unhealthy female dynamic. It's also one that we should grow out of, right? I haven't had a frenemy probably since I was about 19. I don't hang out with girls who treat me as competition over treating me like a friend. I can't be bothered with bitching, it's a waste of time. And anyone who's not a teenager anymore should also be over it, I think, really. Like, my friends are all bloody lovely. They wouldn't be my friends otherwise. And it's remarkable we've been friends since we were, like, the group of girls I'm thinking of, like, friends since we were, like, 13. And even through all our teenage years, of all the hormones and the boys and everything, remarkably few arguments. Like, really remarkably, like, lack of bitchiness. Just, like, honestly, and we lived together as well for a good few years of that time. Like, really, like, high tension. And with, like, my best friend, I can think of one time in over a decade, way over a decade, that we argued or were, like, pissed off at each other. And it's just not always the case, you know? And that was when we were, like, 15, we had an argument, and it was over something really stupid, and then we were over it in a few days, like... Like, look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to better yourself or in making yourself appealing to men. There's not. But I do think there's something wrong in pitting yourself against all of these other women with a win-win-win. They are my competition and I am the best, and it's fine to prove myself the best no matter what to secure a good man. Like, yeah, I don't think that's a behaviour to be praised. I'm sorry. This is a massive problem I have with the red pill that I've mentioned several times. It's like they reduce people to their most base animal instincts and ignore that that is not the whole of a human being. And they also justify being able to behave badly. This is what red pill does, and they do this. They justify being able to behave badly if it gives you a competitive advantage in the dating market. And they see every human interaction as having a winner and a loser, and everyone's obsessed with how much status everyone else has, and it's a little bit gross and materialistic, and also feels like we're back at school. This isn't the fucking wild. Can we just chill out a bit and stop playing wolves, right? We're human beings. We're a little more complex than that. Oh, I had a really funny conversation with my friends, and he was like, it's star signs, isn't it? It's star signs for men. Star signs for men, all this alpha omega male. But here's the thing, yes, we have a lower nature, but we also have a higher nature. And I think the red pill school of thought underestimates the power of loyalty or compassion or morality or, goddammit, love It does. It constantly underestimates those things. And, if you want to talk about the matrix and what keeps people imprisoned, it's the lower instincts that keep people enslaved, not the higher ones. The Red Pill movement is currently offering the poison as the antidote. I said it before and I'll say it again. I think a lot of this is just brutal female competition. They themselves are telling you it is. How do I get picked? I hate that phrase, how do I get picked? It makes my neck retract into my body like a turtle. Stop it, it's embarrassing. How do I get, stop. Pick me, how do I get picked? Stop it now, have dignity. Look, and unfortunately, that how do I get picked, in some cases that involves crippling the competition and shameless pandering to men. Nothing wrong with healthy competition. With, as I said, like a sports competition and may the best woman win, that kind of thing. But, women probably are more prone to political race of sabotage. But that doesn't mean it's a good thing, okay? Like, and the pandering to men. It's stop it. It's embarrassing. It makes me it's yucky. It's really gross. I do think a fair comparison can be made between some of these girls and then the male feminists who have this self-flagellation attitude of men are terrible, we're the worst. It must be so hard for you having to deal with men. I hate men. What do you want to hear? I'll tell you what you want. Just please get into bed with me. It's like the women are kind of doing that, except they're doing it for a ring. Rather than sex. I mean, look, I find a lot of it really distasteful. Like lowering women's role right down or describing it as relaxing to blatantly appeal to a male audience for the purpose of making themselves more attractive, as they themselves have said. And it is just pandering. I think it's disrespectful to pander to people. Okay, I do. I think it's slimy and dishonest. If you respect someone, you don't grovel or pander to them. You give them honesty. And I don't find disrespectful of either men or women. I think it's a self-serving instinct. Interestingly, this was this morning, and it really aligns with what I've just said there. Scrolling on the social media things this morning, and they came across a quote by Thomas Sowell, and it's one of those like quotes with like picture of him with the quote over the top. And I say this, I haven't checked this out. I just saw this morning by chance, and I'm going to probably say it, and now it's going to be like actually that he didn't say that, and it was like a quote from High School Musical or something. Also, like Jake Paul once said. So maybe it's not, but it seemed appropriate. But this was in the picture quote. I haven't checked this, but it was Thomas Sowell apparently said, if you want to help others, you tell them the truth. If you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. It was something like that. I can't remember exactly. Something like that. If you want to help others, you tell them the truth. If you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. And that, I mean, actually, weird coincidence, because yeah, that's basically kind of what I was trying to express. Pandering is just gross, but it's gross. Just stop it. I really want a movement around femininity that's about the value in femininity, that's about bettering women and helping women to better themselves, and not just hitching onto the red pill and the manosphere and viewing all other women as competition and telling men what we think they want to hear just so we can get ahead in the dating world. We don't need to make women look bad in order to let men know that we value them. Okay? That's what the worst male feminist does, and it's gross and dishonest, and none of us should be engaging in it. We are better than that, girls. Can we just all, and boys, can we please all just stop crawling around each other and just treat each other decently and respectfully and truthfully without crawling up anyone's backside? I think we need a separate movement around femininity that's separate to the red pill and the manosphere. I don't think we should be hitching onto that. I think a lot of the men actually would probably agree with that, even the ones who are like in that world. And I'd like to be talking about more of that stuff in the future. But anyway, leave that aside for now. But also, that doesn't mean don't criticise or mock, right? I'm not saying to be nice. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't criticise or mock. I would never say that. I'm a critic, right? Mockery can also be appropriate sometimes. We can criticise women, and we can criticise men, and we can criticise individuals, and we can criticise cultural trends, but this collective thing of degrading either sex as a whole, this is what I'm talking about, it's so shameful and disgusting, especially when it seems suspiciously like there's a self-serving motive there. So the wider point I'm making, I just kind of like to really emphasise what it is exactly that I'm kind of trying to say. So is there anything wrong with being a pick me in the sense of wanting to present yourself well to men and to be attractive to men and to be feminine? Is there anything inherently wrong with that? No, there's not. Is there anything wrong with going out and seeing like pretty much like loads of other women as your competition? Depends how you're doing it. I'd say there can potentially be problems there. Okay, but all of that to the side. But do we come to problems if you are a cultural commentator, if you're an online figure, like admitting to saying how you want to present yourself as the best possible version above all other women, which isn't in itself a bad thing. If you like mainstream cultural voice, if you're mainly talking about gender dynamics, do we think that there could be a conflict of interest there in terms of wanting to tell the truth and get like really delve into these, and you know what I mean, and then just wanting to present yourself well? Is there a conflict of interest there, and how much are you allowing that? So is there anything wrong with going, hey, I'm a pick me, I want men to know I value them? Okay, no, not really anything wrong with that, depending on how you do it. But is there anything wrong with that if your job is commentating online, and you're perfectly, and you're not holding yourself accountable all the time, and you don't see anything wrong with that, with being a pick me in that sense? If you're not questioning yourself all the time and holding and do you understand what I'm trying to get at? I feel like I'm not phrasing this well, but the point is, if you're going, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, there's nothing wrong with being a pick me. Okay, maybe true in your personal life, but if you carry that same attitude into your professional life, where you're supposed to be commenting on gender dynamics, if you're like a social thing, or if you're talking about that, about femininity and women, then actually it is a problem. Actually, yes, it is a problem. It is a problem if you think that if you have the attitude that there's nothing wrong with being sexually competitive with other women, even in the sphere you're working in, when you're talking about, that is actually a problem, because you should be constantly, and that's not to say, look, everyone, of course, all these unconscious things are going to play into people. I'm not saying like I'm immune to that either or anything, but the point is, you shouldn't be so happy to just let that happen. You should be holding yourself accountable and questioning your unconscious motivations, and rather than just accepting and going, well, it's totally fine that I'm doing this. No, I don't think it is actually, in a professional sense. Especially if you're doing what you're doing, you need to be telling the truth. The truth needs to come before that. So you need to be questioning yourself and not just being fine with letting those drives come to the fore and going, well, it's totally okay, because anything's okay in the sexual marketplace of competing. No, it's not. Not if your job is telling the truth and wanting to improve society. Like, I'm sorry, then you've got to question yourself and go, am I, like, I need to take this away from this now and make good content and tell do you see what I mean? That's actually the core of why I think I'm annoyed at this. So we're not talking about any girl, who's just saying, well, I want to present myself as well. That's, I think, why my main criticisms with Leia and these women in these spaces come from. That's why I think I'm annoyed by them kind of openly going, well, I'm a pick-me, and that's totally fine. It's like, okay, maybe in your personal life, but if this is what you're doing professionally, then actually, no, it is a problem. And you need to be questioning and going, okay, but not when it comes to the truth. Point being, if you're admitting to wanting to get men to like you as a primary conscious driving force of your behaviour, unconscious aims are very different. That's something we should constantly be questioning, really, if you're wanting to tell the truth. But if the point that you're consciously accepting those aims as a primary driving force, that's bad. That's really bad. You've really gone far off the road there. I think, really, that's not acceptable. Your primary conscious aim, I know unconscious we can't always control, but your primary conscious aim in this sphere should be what is true. It is the most important thing, far more so than our own wants. I thought personal drives over truth was what, you guys hated the leftists for. We won't always live up to that, to putting what is true over how can I best present myself, but Christ, can we at least try? And not consciously embrace this of how can I best show myself, this is fine, how can I best show myself of appealing to men over how can I get to the truth? Can we at least not consciously do that? I understand unconsciously we might sometimes fail, but can we at least not accept that consciously as acceptable, please, in this realm? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm just seeing like conflict of interest. I hope that makes sense.